And how to integrate gamification in my classroom. In this video, I will be sharing with you some tips and tricks in integrating gamification in the virtual classroom.
So some examples that we tried during video session, like for example, at the start, you can do or you can incorporate gamification into like this. Like at the start, you can do that. At the first quarter perhaps of the entire duration. So let's say for example, if your asynchronous video time live session is 1 hour, so perhaps in the next 15 minutes you will incorporate gamification. Then in the 30 minutes you can incorporate, which is in the middle, you can incorporate another gamification, and you can do also a gamification at the end of your class. So just an example at the start. Visualize goal settings by asking open-ended questions using poll everywhere. Diba? Ideally, before we will do our lecture, our students perhaps a summary or a review of the previous one and what they expect to learn in the class for that particular session. For sure, you did that in your video conference room or in your video session. But perhaps we are challenged nga, we already skipped that one, sir, because no one will participate. All of them will say, no video, ma'am, our mic is problematic, and so on and so forth, because they don't participate orally. Made an observation that if I ask my students orally, it's so silent. But if I will share a link for them to type, there is like a gap. But once a student will submit and they can see their answers on the screen, then students will be excited to participate also. Just to give you an example. On the screen, I usually do this in my class. How are you feeling today? It's an open-ended question just to tell the students that you are concerned also with them, especially this time. I set this that students can do anonymous. And then at the first quarter, like if 1 hour ako ang video session, when 15 minutes na, I use poll. If I use Zoom, I can use poll in the Zoom. If I use BBB, there is also poll in the big blue button. Okay. So actually, this is also sometimes this is one way of feedbacking and making sure that the students are engaged into your discussion. No, and then you will not proceed if not all will reply. Or let's say, for example, what are the different forms of muscle that I discussed a while ago? So something like that. And then you have the multiple choice there just to make sure that the students are there, just to make sure that the students are on desk and they are not doing something else and they are listening to you. In the middle of my session, I can integrate whiteboard sharing using Google Jamboard. So let's say, for example, I have a question. What do you think is the solution of this case? No, if there is a situation like this, so instead of asking that collectively to the student and then ask one student to answer, for sure no one will answer, and then they will make a drama that their mic is off or their video is not functioning. No, and even you will say, oh, just chat. Mom, the chat is having a problem also. They're not interested to participate. What I did is doing some whiteboard sharing, like in the middle, just to make sure that they are participating. Which of the following analytics tool is most useful in this kind of problem? So instead of, asking them one by one, I'll just share a one white screen and then all of them can input. Let me go to Jamboard. Have you tried Jamboard before? I wanted you to try this. I'll tell you, students are more excited to do something like this. Okay, it's called white sharing. whiteboard sharing. This is in Google. That's good. So you can also do this asynchronously. It's Jamboard. It's a white sharing thing. Usually at the end of the session, what do? Let's say, for example, I am now on my summarization. Okay, any questions so far? But I just to test with you, if you learn from our discussion, get ready with your phone and let's do the game. Get ready and we will start the game. 3, 2, 1. It is any type of learning that takes place in learning environments and spaces. Okay, the correct answer is mobile learning. What the students are interested with is they would be more interested how much core they have. And there is an AI to this. Another example that we did. One is integrate interaction in your pre-recorded video using H5P. So this is an example. So you have a pre-recorded video and then you can input questions along the way into your video. So this is my video, something like this. In the video, it will not go on to the next because you have some interaction. Another one is the use of restriction and activity completion. Okay, so say for example, this one, student cannot respond into the forum if they will not read this. So not available unless the activity is marked complete. So the students have to download, have to read this one. At least another example that we tried, incorporate alerting activities in your virtual classroom. So just showing you on the screen, this is my actual class. So quiz 2, coverage, blah, blah. To get the release code of quiz 2, do the instruction below. Before taking the quiz, do this. Perform 5 jumping jacks. Count your pulse rate. Submit the total count of your pulse rate here. Your release code to take quiz 2 will be shown after submission. So students really have to do that, no? Or I also tried, go to the window and count how many people passing by to your house. This is actually in response to the screen break thing that students are so dependent and then their eyes are tired. You can actually, it's called alerting activities, or we coined that here at Seoul office as AFK activities, or away from keyboard activities. Number one is during assessment. No, so use of limits and attempts. This limits and attempts is very powerful thing also for students to learn. Remember, in gamification, students should be able to have some liberty and to learn from time to time, especially for formative assessment. Like in my case, like for my quiz 1, learners are given 10 attempts to retake the quiz. The average score will be recorded. No, so 10 items with a 15 minutes time limit. They can retake 10 attempts, but only the average score. So students would be very careful in clicking all those because averaging. Another example, learners are given 5 attempts to retake. Still, the average score will be recorded, but limited time. Another example, learners are given unlimited attempts. They can retake as many as they can, but I will only record the last attempt of their score. So another also is during assessment, use other type of questions like drag and drop with feedback and hint. Okay, the use of badges and e-certificate. You can do badges in your class. Let's say, for example, for those who can get 3 badge, I will give additional 50 points. So things like that after completing a particular task. So it's called badges, and then even certificate, you can do an automated certificate.